So the new Warhammer Day celebration announcements had a lot of news for Warhammer 40k players, but not all was good. We got some details about the contents of upcoming codexes, and it looks like there are going to be some units that are not returning to the game. So let's dive into it. What's up, folks? Welcome back to TacticalTortoise. My name is Trevi, and today we're going to be talking about the Warhammer Day Warhammer 40,000 announcements. Now, all Warhammer games got huge announcements during this celebration, including Age of Sigmar, which got some gorgeous new models, and 40k did get some new models as well. These are certainly models that exist. First off, we got a new Kill Team boxed set. This gives us our first look at the new plastic scouts and a resculpt of the striking scorpions. These are largely new high fidelity upscaled versions of the old previous Finecast kits and the old plastic scout kits in their case, and honestly they all look great. My favorite is the scout with a little rebreather. We finally get to know what those tubes on the scout chest plate are. Apparently it's like a little breathing device. That's cool. Now, the important thing is that we did get some announcements and previews for the new upcoming codexes for Necrons and Adeptus Mechanicus. The first one is a brand new unit, the Sydonian Skatros. This is a new lone operative unit for the Adeptus Mechanicus faction. It looks like a big sniper dude. He's got some weird telescoping legs, which certainly are a look. That said, however, it looks like mechanically he's actually going to be relatively strong. This guy has the lone operative and stealth abilities. How exactly he remains stealthy with those super duper tall legs, I don't know. We'll just have to forge that narrative in our imaginations. However, he does pack a pretty serious punch with his big ranged attacks. Can either equip the Radium Giselle, an anti-infantry 3 heavy and precision weapon at strength 5 AP2 for a flat 3 damage, or swap that out for the Transuranic Arquebus. This is an anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+ weapon with, again, heavy and precision at strength 7 AP2 for D3 damage. Now, apparently, the little camera setup that this guy has on his harness is the Achillean Eye. This gives him rerolls against his favorite target. It sounds like probably either infantry if he's taking the Radium Giselle combination, or if he's taking the Transuranic Arquebus, it would be against monsters and vehicles. If this guy is priced to move, and I honestly think that he probably will be, and depending on the other abilities on his data sheet, you could be seeing these guys taken pretty heavily in Adeptus Mechanicus armies. If he's a lone operative, potentially infiltrating or scouting unit that can deploy up the table, do some secondary objectives, and packs a pretty solid punch. And one thing that you have to remember is that Adeptus Mechanicus have a lot of access to AP increasing abilities. So oftentimes, this guy's AP2 weapons are going to be improved to AP3, and wounding their chosen targets on 3s or 4s with a reroll means that they will convert that wound through very reliably. So being able to chunk 2 damage or so off of a vehicle every turn while screening out your back line, holding down your back objectives, or scoring objectives is incredibly strong. Now let's talk about what else is in the codex. The article does discuss the contents of the codex. It includes 30 datasheets, which is the current 29 datasheets plus 1 for the Sydonian Skatros, plus 5 detachments. So what we are seeing is that this codex will have, in fact, less detachments than the existing codexes that we have in the game, the Space Marine and Tyranid codexes, which come with 6 and 7 respectively. Now we're also going to be seeing this in the preview article for the Necron codex, so you can expect that as well. I think it's important to remember that the number of detachments inside a codex doesn't necessarily dictate the power level of that codex. It does reduce replayability a little bit, but there are a lot of index detachments that are more powerful than detachments inside established codexes, and not all of the detachments within these established codexes are particularly strong. So if they have devoted more development time to making detachments that are very cool and interesting and good to play on the tabletop rather than being duds, you might not miss those extra detachments. Now, we did get confirmation of what these detachments are, however, the first one being the Skitarii Hunter cohort. This apparently gives all Skitarii infantry, mounted units, and Iron Striders the stealth ability, as well as providing cover to all Sicarians targeted by ranged attacks from more than 12 inches away. The detachment includes the Binaric Offensive Stratagem, which for 2 CP grants a +1 AP benefit to 2 units in your own army against a single enemy unit, provided, of course, that both of those units are both eligible to and target the enemy unit that you selected. We have seen AP increasing abilities and stratagems like this elsewhere in the game, and they have been relatively strong, but for 2 CP and with some restrictive targeting, this one's certainly not the most powerful one that we've seen in this edition. That said, we do get clarification that there are going to be some buffs to the existing Index Detachment, the Rad Zone Cohort. This is the detachment that Adeptus Mechanicus currently have that bombards their enemy deployment zone with rad fallout, dealing a couple mortal wounds and potentially forcing them to be battle shocked on the first turn. And we do have confirmation in this article that that ability will be getting a revision. Right now, it mostly just deals a little tiny bit of damage to your opponent's backline units, the least valuable units in their army oftentimes, and takes up a lot of game time, and I just really don't think that it is the play experience that the designers are going for. So certainly happy to see that one get a revision. Now on top of that, we are also getting the Explorator Maniple, which is probably going to be about objective control, acquiring rare archaeotech from the battlefield no matter the cost. The Cohort Cybernetica provides a power up to Castellan robots, while the Datasom Conclave is a tech priest focused detachment. Now on top of that, we did also get a new sculpt for Necrons. This is a resculpt of the Imhotech the Stormlord model. This is the character who generates command points for the faction, as well as calls a storm around himself once per game. And honestly, just like the other resculpts that we've seen so far in this preview, kind of just looks like an up-resed version of the existing Imhotech the Stormlord. Not too much to say about him. He seems great. However, the exciting stuff are new rules previews for the Necron Codex. We do get the confirmation, just like in the Adeptus Mechanicus Codex, that there will be only 5 detachments, so 1 less than the initial codexes of the edition. On top of that, 47 datasheets will be included, which is actually less than their current index. The Necron Index currently includes 50 datasheets, so 3 of them are going the way of the dodo. Now, whether or not those are amalgamations or reskins of existing units, we just don't know. There are some old fine cast sculpts within the Necron range, and I have a sneaking suspicion that those guys might be being phased out. No pun intended. The article does clarify that the Awakened Dynasty will be returning in the new codex. This is, again, the index detachment for Necrons and kind of encapsulates a classic Necron game plan. We also see some previews for other detachments, including the Hypercrypt Legion. This allows Necron units to phase into strategic reserves at the end of the enemy turn. This is very much an ability similar to the Grey Knight Teleport Assault, and if we see a detachment that can combine the resilience of the Necron Codex with the maneuverability of the Grey Knight detachment, this could be incredibly strong. And we do see a little bit of a preview of that with their Hyperphasic Recall stratagem. This is a stratagem that in your opponent's shooting phase or any fight phase after an enemy unit has attacked, if one of your infantry units has lost 1 or more models as a result of those attacks, it can be teleported for 2 CP to wholly within 6 inches of a friendly monolith outside engagement range of enemies. Given that Necron infantry units are typically pretty resilient and you need multiple attackers to actually deal significant damage to them through their reanimation protocols that they're going to be getting in your next command phase, being able to spend 2 CP to disrupt your opponent's attacks to then bring those units back to a monolith and potentially back to safety means that you can keep them alive. They can then, at the end of your opponent's turn, enter back into strategic reserves and teleport potentially back to where they were when your opponent originally attacked them, allowing your army to yo-yo around the table. If that is how this detachment works, this sounds amazing. Incredible maneuverability for a faction that is typically very slow. The other detachments are also named, including the Obeisance Phalanx, which apparently is a frontline character-focused phalanx. I think we may see some synergies with the Silent King in this one, as well as the Canoptech Court, which is focused more on Cryptex and Canoptech units. In addition, the Annihilation Legion sees a return. Annihilation Legion was an army of renown from 9th edition that focused very heavily and gave huge bonuses to destroyers and flayed ones, and it sounds like that is returning, and we get a little bit of a preview of an enhancement. This is Eternal Madness, which gives the bearer's entire unit a 4+ fight on death, not just the character themselves, although it will also affect them even if their unit is destroyed, because they don't need to be leading unit for it to trigger. So let me know down in the comment section what you think about these reveals from Warhammer Day. Are you happy with the reveals for Necrons and Adeptus Mechanicus, or sad that it doesn't look like they're going to get the same level of support that Space Marines and Tyranids did? Big thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Thanks as well to everybody who supports the channel, either over on Patreon at patreon.com/TacticalTortoise, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subscribers. I love you all. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming. Also, I got a new camera. I'm still playing with the settings, but let me know how it looks. Hopefully it's a little bit better than the old one.